Hi, I'm Jessie Liew, clinical hypnotherapist and mother of four. Today, I'm honored to bring you a story that every parent needs to hear. You're about to meet Gail, a woman who was diagnosed with clinical depressions at age 19, but her journey started much earlier. At 13, she knew something was wrong, but no one saw it. Not her parents, not her teachers. In these conversations, Gail opens up about what it felt like to silently struggle through her teenage years and what she wishes her parents had known. Parents, if you ever looked at your child and thought, where did their spark go? Why can't I reach them anymore? This interview is for you. Let's dive in. Hi, Gail. Thank you for sharing your stories. Let's start with our interview questions. But how are you?
I'm doing good today. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to, share my story and maybe give a different idea of like, hey, what life can be like as we walk through and walk past depression and build a life that we love and we enjoy.
Yes, I'm sure your stories will be like a hope, bring hopes and to all the parents that this is not a permanent journey. Depression is not permanent and you can actually change it and you have the power to change it. So let's dive into the questions because I'm sure everyone is actually excited to hear your stories. Okay, so Gail, let's go back to when you are 13. What were you feeling back then that other couldn't see?
Okay, so since young, I was a very emotionally sensitive child. So maybe I was a little bit different from my siblings in that sense. I was very emotionally sensitive, and at 13 I can feel like something is wrong, but I have no words to describe it. I have no words to describe it, and it's not even like something you can put into words. It's like I failed my test. That is something that is concrete that you can put into words. Or like my pet died. That is something physical that happened. But when I was 13, I just have this feeling that something is not right. Why am I not happy? Like deep inside. Of course, day to day we have those fluctuations. Some days are good days, some days are not so good days. But somehow I feel deep inside that something is not right, and deep down inside I'm like deeply unhappy. But there's nothing for me to be unhappy about. So there's no, why am I not happy? So it's like a little bit of like existential kind of feeling. And like at 13 years old, it's like, really, what did I have to be unhappy about? My parent, I have a stable a stable family, like two-parent family. I go to a good school, I have friends, I have hobbies. But why am I feeling like this? So it's like really I don't know how to put into words. Yeah, so that was what I experienced at 13, which is like I really don't know how to describe it. If I told an adult, they probably also they said, okay, but what are you not happy about? I also don't know. So that was me at 13.
Okay. And also because you are 13, right? Because I'm also a parent. So I think a lot of times that a lot of parents will think, it must be the hormone. Like you are 13, you just got the hormones and like you reach your puberties. And that's why you are like that. And parents might actually overlook that. Like, of course, like the hormones and look back into my teenagers. I do have some days that I don't feel I'm good, I'm not happy. But when you say not happy, is it like a permanent, is a prolonged time that you feel that I'm not happy? Or because I'm thought that maybe we want to dive in because you mentioned that 813, I'm not happy, but there's nothing for you to I'm happy. Your unhappiness and the feeling of sad, perhaps, is like a prolong for the entire day, weeks, or even months or years that you don't feel, or is there any time that you will feel happy again and all that?
I mean, I suppose there was like sparks of like on and off, but it's like a rainy season. It rains a lot more than usual. But in summer, it's sunny most of the time. There is still rain. So I guess you feel like it's in a rainy season that why is it always raining? why is it always this feeling? Of course, there are like happy moments, right? There are moments you are enjoying, you're laughing with your friends, but then come back, it's like it's raining again. Why you have this like, why am I feeling this like, or maybe like meaningless kind of thing? Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So what were the earlier signs that you noticed that something wasn't right inside?
I guess it's like sometimes I feel very disconnected from what I'm doing. I feel what I'm doing is very meaningless. Like no point. No point. I don't see the point of going to school maybe. I don't see the point of what we are learning in school. And then I'm just like passing the time every day. I pass the time in school, I pass the time at home. Yeah, maybe I have some happy moments, but it's like, what am I excited about? I'm not really sure. I don't have that. I look forward to go home and watch my favorite show every day. That is also a form of excitement, but I don't even have that. Not even excited about watching my favorite show. Or like not even excited about playing my toy or like whatever that like listen to my pop music or whatever. There was no sense of joy and excitement even about like regular things. Like everybody have a hobby, right? Everybody have something that they love to do,
Yes.
but how come I don't have? Is this normal? So that was kind of like, it's like there's nothing wrong, but why 没有意思? Whatever I do have no meaning or no point, or like I'm not excited about anything. So then you just pass the day. So yeah, that was probably how I got the sense of something is not quite right. Like something is not wrong at that point yet, but it was not quite right lah. Yeah.
Yes, yes. As you actually review more, right? So I can actually see that something is wrong, like what you have said, like your it seems that your low mood, your unhappiness and sadness is actually like long because you mentioned it's more rain season and it's more than the sunny season where you're supposed to be bright, happy, but even the sunny time you still have the rains and there's also like a symptoms that there's everything is meaningless and there's nothing to look forward and you're just passing by. So, and this is usually the typical signs of the depressions where you have consistent slow mood, nothing to look forward, and everything seems to be meaningless and there seems to be no hope for anything at all.
Yeah.
Yes. So how did you get help, whether through school counselors or parents, and what happened?
So I try to rationalize it in the sense that yes, it's rainy season, but it won't rain forever, right? There's no such thing as 365 days of rain. Something like that. So I tell myself, okay, maybe when I change class, when I go to Sec 3, I change class, something will be different. I will feel different. Maybe it's the environment, maybe it's the teacher, or maybe it's my friend. I try and kind of like talk myself through it. So I went to Sec 3 and then like things didn't change much. And actually it got maybe like it got worse at that time. And then like in the Sec 3, Sec 4, I said, okay, so maybe it's not the class, it's not the school, it's not the subjects. Maybe if I go to the next stage, right, where I completely change school, things will be better. So then I went to JC. In Singapore, we do the junior college. And then, okay, completely different school, different environment, different subjects, but then it didn't get better. It's not the different lah. So basically, I was just telling myself, okay, the next stage, let's try the next stage. Something will change. Something is different. Then I go to the next stage at JC, it's like, it's not different. Then tell myself, okay, maybe it's the structure. I don't like structure so much. Maybe it's, I need more freedom. Okay, let's wait till uni. Maybe things will be better. So I went to uni, but it completely different learning system, but then it's like the feeling is still the same. So then it's like, okay, then what actually then something is not right. Like it's not the system, it's not the environment, it's not the friends. Then I suppose it must be really that something is wrong. So that was like my journey through like different stages and how I try to talk myself through it. So like in secondary school, I did see a school counselor. JC, I did see a JC counselor, a school counselor a little bit. But at that point, because I really don't have anything specific to be unhappy about. I don't have any real reason why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. So it's very hard to communicate this to another person, to a new adult, to let them say like, I feel like something is wrong, but I don't even have words for it for myself. So I feel that in a way, maybe during this secondary school days or JC days, it was hard to verbalize exactly that maybe something is wrong. It's just a feeling, but I don't even know how to put it into words. So that's why kind of like maybe it dragged all the way until like 18 or 19. Then where I kind of like finally got the help and managed to verbalize what is going on. Because by then it was much, much more serious, that people can observe, can in a way diagnose what is going on with me.
Okay. So because you also mentioned that you went through the school counselors when you have changed schools and you have moved to JC, and you've also, and during your secondary school you also mentioned about the so what did the school counselors and or even your parents, they try to help you? Did they actually manage to help you or to understand you?
So for when I was 13 to 18, basically my parents didn't really know anything what was going on. So I tried to self-manage the situation. School counselors, I suppose their first response is it might be due to exam stress. So then once we went on the topic of exams and stuff like that, I know that this is not actually the reason, like this existed before exams came along. So then after that, I just like in a way lost interest in going to the school counselors at that time, because they just kind of like assumed that what was going on. Yeah.
Yes. And I think that with that context, because Singapore is actually very exam oriented, so I think right now, even like 10 plus years has passed by, but a lot of parents will assume that it's the exam stress. And yeah, I guess that is also same for everywhere. No matter where you are, United States, Malaysia, Australia, it will be still the same. People will assume, oh, must be too stressful with the exams, and that's why you are like this.
Yeah, but I suppose like in a way, if we are we have healthy coping mechanisms, healthy emotional habits, we will know how to deal with exams stress. But if that core, right, that foundation of coping mechanism or emotional habits, we don't have that, even if it's a small little exam or small little thing, right, we will feel very, very we feel really terrible about it.
Yep.
So in a way, maybe like exams was just the presenting situation.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Like if let's say like sometimes nowadays people talk about like how the strawberry generations and how not resilient they are. So it's also about the stress, but ultimately it's actually how you cope with the stress, and like what you're right is actually the emotion regulations and your habits actually come into picture, and your mindset. How do you deal with the situation? Because you can't change the situations, but you can change yourself and how you regulate your emotions towards which you will change your attitude towards how to cope with that situation is actually very important. And but as we are born like in Asian, especially Asian, we don't really emphasize much on emotion regulations, and most of the time we were asked to suppress it. So we were told to suppress that it's not a good emotions, it's bad. So we and somehow many of us, even myself included, I find that because I work on myself, I find that I have so much emotions that I really suppress until the point that I couldn't take it and I start to get exploded. Because it's just too much, because I just put, and then it's like a pressure cooker, and suddenly the pressure cooker couldn't take anymore, then they just explode, and which you will get the emotional outbursts. Okay, so looking back now, right, what do you wish adults understand about how you were acting or not acting?
Oh, okay. I wish that adults were curious, in a sense that I wish that my parents were curious in really getting to know what is going on with my life, rather than just make a kind of like a surface assumption. Like, she's going to school, she's doing music, she's going out with her friends, and then that's like a surface understanding of what's going on in my life. So I wish my parents were curious to sincerely know more about what's about me, what I want and what I like, rather than like they're always like prescribing what they think is good for me, but they don't know, they're not actually interested to know about me. So I suppose for my parents, I wish they were curious to find out. And maybe for counselors, psychotherapists as well, yeah, like I wish that they were genuinely interested and give me space so that I can have time, or help me to find the words to verbalize what is going on, rather than I was like, okay, just assuming what they know what is going on with me.
Yes, that's so important actually. And you also mentioned about like something very interesting, because you mentioned about your parents try to prescribe something that about you. So maybe can you actually elaborate on that as well?
I suppose to some level, I feel like I didn't have a choice in some areas of my life, like the choice of subjects, or like how often I can go out with my friends. I feel it's a very like I felt it was a very top-down approach. So for me, I'm very different from my parents, and then I believe in more like, I feel more comfortable with a more collaborative approach, like democratic approach. Yes, I'm open to discussion, but for them, they are like, okay, I'm your parent. So as a child, you follow whatever the parents say. So I feel a very, very big disconnect with them from here. And I'm not sure whether it leads to me being able to feel like I'm able to do the things that I really, really love, or I kind of have to choose the steps in my life based on their preferences. This one is really hard to say.
Okay, got it. I think like most of the parents, this is typical the parenting styles. Like, I'm the parents, I'm the law, and you just follow, and which you wish is more like a collaborative and open discussion, so that there are some choices they can make. And perhaps if, let's say, they listen curiously, then they might actually able to find out something is different. It's not something is wrong. It could be something is different.
Yeah, and if they're curious, then maybe we will have a better relationship. And I feel that I can talk to them more. Maybe, yeah. Looking back, it's easy to like wish for what you want, the perfect parent.
Yes. But if, let's say, they are curious, I agree with you. Then, because I think a lot of parents come to me as well, especially teenagers. They know, they sense something is wrong. Like, sometimes they sense something is wrong, but they just couldn't get the teenager to tell them what is wrong, or they just couldn't have that kind of conversations with their children.
Yeah.
Okay, so what were other people, or perhaps your parents, assuming about your behavior at the time? So how do they describe about you? Or maybe if, let's say, you remember some of the wordings that they thought you were, and maybe you can actually share at this moment.
I suppose they thought that I'm rebellious,
Mm.
that having a mind of my own is rebellious. Yeah, so if I think differently from them, or our conclusion about a situation is different, it means that they assume that I'm being rebellious or like I'm talking back.
Okay. So other than rebellious, anything else?
Basically, they just don't understand why I'm doing the things that I was doing, in the sense that there are some days that I didn't go to school. And like I remember, like literally my dad when I was in JC, my dad would send us to school. So I will look like I'm going to school. I walk into the school, and after he drove off, then I'll walk out of the school, and then like I'll go off and like do my own thing, whatever it is. Yeah. So to them this is like rebellious, and they don't understand why. They don't understand why I do this. Because like, hey, you're very smart, why you don't just study hard, you do well, and then you will have a good future, this kind of thing. But to me, it's meaningless. It's pointless. I don't know what I'm doing here. Whatever I'm doing is not applicable to anything in the real life. I'm just doing this because everybody does this. Everybody goes to school. Yeah, so they just like couldn't get their heads around it. Why? Why am I like this?
Okay, I got it. But I thought it's actually good to have like the symptoms, but I actually listen like being rebellious, and you also mentioned about like highly sensitive, talking back, not listening, because whatever you say to me, I'm not going to listen, because you have your own thinking and your way of doing certain things, and that's why you will perceive as like not listening to your parents. So this will be some of the symptoms that people will assume about you and actually tell, you're rebellious, you are highly overly sensitive, and you're not listening, and you just talk back, which is very common in teenagers.
Yep.
Okay, so was there ever a moment where you felt completely unseen or even misunderstood?
So since young, as I'm the oldest in the family, so I try to be the peacemaker, and I try to be the good girl since young. But then somehow there's conflict still happen in the family, whether it's between my parents and us, or maybe like me and my sister. Like, so no matter what happened, there will still be conflict, no matter what how good I tried to be, or a good role model I tried to be. Then that's why I went into the rebellious phase, because being the good girl did not give me the results that I wanted, which was a harmonious family. So then what? Since I try so hard to be good, nothing works. Fine, I'll just do whatever that I want. So then I become the black sheep of the family. Like, and everything that also you can be unhappy about, you can be unhappy about me. Then you don't need to be unhappy about my sister. Or you don't need to be unhappy about my father. At least to my mom, my mom is the more vocal one in the house. So then that's what happened. Like that's what my strategy for family harmony as I became teenager. So at least, if not everybody will kena, right? So at least one person kena, then okay, better lah. You 牺牲自己 or sacrifice myself, something like that. So then what happened was that I was labeled rebellious, right? For whatever it was. So then there was one time my mom, when she's angry, she will start on like a train that cannot stop. It just keep on going on. And she will kind of like verbally, like keep on going after you, find one thing after another. Once she starts, she cannot stop. So there was one time where everybody have a emotional limit, right? What they can handle. So what happened was, then then I went into the toilet, and then I locked the door. And then, so because I'm not physically in the same space as her, because I separate myself from my mom, right? So then she go and off the lights. Then she's banging the door, asked me to come out. But I didn't respond. because I need my own space. But because she didn't get a response, and what she want, I suppose why parents flare up is because they want a response, or they're looking for a certain kind of response. We're looking for a certain kind of response from the other person. When we don't get a response, we get more angry, right? So then she got more angry, turned off the lights. And then what happened was she take a bucket of water. So I was sitting on the floor on the back of the door. She take a bucket of water and throw the water underneath the door. So means that the water came underneath the floor and basically soaked wherever that I was sitting lah. So at that moment, I was like, wow, do you have to be so, I don't know what's the right word for it, like antagonistic. So, like, why do you have to kick a person when they are down? So at that moment, yes, it's one of the moments that I felt very alone, very misunderstood. It's like, you don't give me any chance for a way out at all. Right? I'm already in the toilet. At that time, I don't have a phone, right? What am I going to do? I'm just going to sit there in the dark for the whole night. And then you throw the water under the door. It's like, it was not a nice feeling lah. Then like my mom would say things like, oh, you don't like to live here, then you go and live somewhere else, or then you go and live somewhere else. So at that time, so my childhood dream is not a career, is not to build something in my life. My childhood dream is to be able to move out of my parents' house. It's like, when finally I can move out of my parents' house, I will be happy. So that was my driving thought for a very, very long time. If I can move out of my parents' house, then I'll be happy. And then I can start a new phase of my life. But of course, I didn't have the tools and the resources to do that. So like, I feel like I'm very, very trapped, I'm very stuck for many, many, many years. So that's why things escalated lah. So like, I will try to lock myself in the room so that they cannot be physically in the same space as me, so that I don't have to, at any random time that she feel like she can come in the room and say something that she's unhappy about me. So I locked the door, but they got key. So then I moved to another room at the back of the house, which is like storeroom converted to a helper room last time. So there was an old bed inside there. So like, there's a lot of stuff inside, but there's still a bed. So I moved there, so that like, I thought like, out of sight, out of mind. The room is away from the main part of the house, but they can still find me. So then after that, they dismantled. This room does not have a key from the outside. So then I locked the door, which was, I felt safer, right? You don't have access to me, or like, you can don't at any random time of the day. Then what they did was to they broke the lock of the door. So means that I cannot lock the door.
Okay.
So eventually then I resorted to putting a lot of stuff behind the door so that they can't open the door lah. So basically for like some periods, I was like living in a very like cramped, like got a lot of stuff on the floor kind of space. So that was my experience, or some of my experience, I suppose. Yep. So it was I always motivated myself with, it's going to be better at the next phase. It's going to be better at the next school. It's going to be better when I move out, when I finally can move out. Yeah, but that was, moving out is not going to, in the end, it will not solve your emotional struggles lah. Yeah.
Okay. So when did something finally shift, and what helped you start healing?
So when things were really bad, basically, I didn't really have any coping skills for daily living, in the sense that going out of the room was difficult. That was the most, at the lowest time. So normal daily things become very difficult. It's like what you will feel over, like maybe now you feel like shit, maybe you lost your job. But that is a big thing, right? So even small things like going out of the house or going out of the room start to feel difficult. The same similar kind of feeling as if you lost your job or you lost a loved one, something like that. So what helped to turn around at this period was there was a hotline in the school, in my uni, where you could call at any time and then someone will pick up. And so happened one day, this lady, Andrea, she picked up on the line, and then she talked to me and helped to de-escalate the situation. And then what happened is, in the end, she gave me her personal number, because you don't know who is going to be at the end of the line the next time that you call. But what you need is someone who knows where you are at and knows how to stabilize the situation. So she gave me her number. So for a few months, I could call her at any time of the day and she will pick up because she knows it's me. So this was, I feel it's like really above and beyond that what she was supposed to do. And I'm really grateful for that, because at least it get me through that lowest period so that I can find a more like systemic kind of solution to what I'm facing right now, so I can start building the life skills to get back on track in my life. So that was the turning point, in the sense that, you know, the feeling of somebody who is willing to be here unconditionally, no matter whatever situation you're presenting or no matter how you're feeling, and neutral and supportive, that, okay, I'm going to help you feel better. I'm here to help you find a solution, and let's do this together. So that was really the turning point of everything.
Okay, because you also mentioned like some of the signs, like when you are lowest, because I just want to conclude about some of the symptoms as well. Like when you were lowest, you were feeling sad all the time, most of the time, not all the time, but you are feeling sad and unhappy, and to a point that when you were lowest, you don't feel motivated to do anything at all, and even just get out from the room seems to be a very difficult job for you. Like you feel it's just even do something, just get out from the room is so difficult, which is a common symptoms in depressed people. Yeah. And then and luckily you have one person, which you know, like Andrea, that's her name, right? Who actually helped you believe that you could feel better and you could actually recover, you can actually move on and move out from your current state.
Yep.
Okay. So many parents are watching these could be scared. Because right at the time you don't have screen addictions, but right now we live in a digital era, and most children, they have some kind of screens, be it in iPad or smartphone or even the TV, because nowadays TV is also internet TV. So what parents see right now is the screen addictions and the skill avoidance, the shutdown, or sometimes the emotional outbursts, but they do not know how deep it goes. So how would you tell them?
I tell them, actually, I feel that in a way, parents know their child the best, and a lot of times that we can sense something is wrong, or something is not quite right, or their kids are different. So, I suppose what I would like to tell parents is to, when you feel that something is not quite right, like listen to that feeling, listen to that feeling, because it's actually you are sensing what is actually really happening. Nobody will know your child better than yourself, because you see them every day.
Okay, so the message is actually really be curious and really try to understand your child. Because yes, I think this could actually goes really deep with some parents, because I think a lot of parents will say, I don't understand my child. And back then, when I grow up, I'm not like this. How come you're so different? And I think there's an internal struggle within themselves, and that's why that is a mind shift that they need to set differently, which be curious and also try to understand, because you see them anymore every day. So, and really tune in so that you can, I will use tune in, because sometimes listening is just not enough. You may need to tune in, because when it comes to character and feelings, a lot of times I find that you need to tune in to them so that you can finally listen and understand them more. Okay, what one mind shift you wish all parents would adopt?
I wish that in relationships with parents and child, I wish that we can take away the feeling of blame. Sometimes parents will blame the child. Why you are like this? Because of you, things are like this, like because of what you did. And then that create a lot of like misunderstanding and resentment. And then also sometimes parents, it's easy to blame ourselves. Because I didn't do this, because I did something wrong, that's why my child is experiencing this now. Because I of what I did or didn't do, then my child is certain way. So I wish that we have more compassion for ourselves as parents, as caregivers. Compassion for ourselves. Everybody is doing the best that we can with the resources that we know, with what that we know. So now that we know a bit better, we can do something a bit better. And same for the child. They are acting out, they are experiencing something or behaving a certain way or saying certain things because of the best that they know how. This is the best coping mechanism that they know how. So when we see each other, when we see the child and see ourselves in this way, it's easy to be more understanding. It's easier to give each other more space and more time, rather than like, oh, who is in the wrong and who is in the right. So that's just what I would wish for all parents and all relationships.
Yes. As you speak about this, something comes, just that quote actually comes into my mind. When you win the battle, you lost the relationship.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's not about like who wins or who is right or who is wrong. It's about winning the relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So what's the one small action parents can take perhaps this week or when they actually come across this video to support their child differently?
I suppose parents can be more curious. How was your day? And parents can also be more descriptive, in a sense that sometimes when we ask a question, it's very short. Kids are also learning how to express themselves. Kids are learning the vocab of emotions. Kids are learning how to verbalize, right? So sometimes they need a bit of help. So especially when they are younger or they don't like to share so much, we can give them more verbal cues. Did you talk with your friend today? How did that school project go? Or so what song did you rehearse in your band today? So sometimes giving like little leading questions like this, give them more chance to share. Then it's like you have one more nugget of info, right, about your child's life, that what is important to them. So number one, be curious. Number two, help them to be descriptive, because we are still learning. As adults, we are still learning how to verbalize in a so that we have good communication. So children, they are still learning how to describe what's going on in their life, describe what's going on in their head, what's going on in their feelings. So we are here to teach them also how to verbalize. So sometimes we think that kids, yeah, she don't want to share one lah, she's like that. But maybe it's like they don't know how ma. So we need to teach them or show them how through our own words.
Yes, I totally agree. And also I want to speak about context about like, because I'm also working with children and I also work with the parents. A lot of times for the parents, they also have limited vocab in terms of emotions, because when they were brought up, when during their childhood, most of us were asked to suppress. So suppress the emotions, like they label, like maybe some of times your parents may actually label them angry. There's a bad emotions. You shouldn't have that. Like that shouldn't be there at the first place. So your vocabulary on the emotions is actually quite limited, and they also do not know how to describe or verbalize that. And when they have the children, they also could not help because they don't have the tools to describe themselves, and therefore, but it's something that could be taught, and sometimes even though they could not be, they may not able to express in the form of words. There are many expressions in many ways. Like, because right now I'm working with a child who have a generalized anxiety disorder, and she also have a lot of emotional outbursts and could be aggressive and violent as well at sometimes, but she's good at drawing. So if you ask her to describe, may not able to tell you, but if you see the drawings and you ask her to describe the drawings, then she will tell you exactly how is the emotional bucket in her space at that moment. So you could actually use a lot of ways, not just words, but it could be drawings, and for Gail, your music. So it could be also music. Music is also a form of expressions of their emotions and the current emotional state and mental state.
Yes, absolutely. There's many ways that our children can be communicating with us. Sometimes we just have to find the right door that we can enter.
Yes, absolutely. Because a lot of times parents will just only one door, which is that door. And when they can't, then they were like, you will not share with me, like what you say, you will not share with me. I asked him, he doesn't want to share, and that's it. But actually, from my work and also from, I think, your work as well, you will find that there's a lot of ways to share. It's just finding the right door to enter, and that's where you can actually discover their emotional states, mental states, and even they can actually express themselves much better, because that's the form of art that they are comfortable to express. Okay, so if their child is anxious or even depressed, what kind of support actually helps?
Sometimes when we are so worried about what's going on with our loved one, with our child, right? It's very easy for us to feel scared or worried or anxious or like frustrated, like with what is going on. I think the first step that sometimes we need to do is like take one step back, because it's very easy to like go into the problem solving mode, the frantic, like kind of feeling. But if we go into a situation, your child is feeling a certain way and you are feeling a certain way, we are just pouring our emotions on each other. So maybe sometimes it's not about the strategy, because I'm sure actually everybody knows that there are certain ways we can do differently. But maybe before what we do is to look after ourselves emotionally also. Because when we have an emotionally stable parent or emotionally mature parent who is responsible for our own emotions, then we don't put our emotion on the child. So the first step, before any strategy comes, look after our own emotion first. Find a emotionally stable space first, because in the aeroplane, in the case of accident, disaster, we put the mask on ourselves first, then we can put the mask on our child. So before we go into like the rescuing and the saving and the problem solving, right, make sure that we are okay. We are coming from a space of neutral rather than frantic or like blaming, or frustrated. And then any action that you will take will be from this space. Any response that you have to any of your child's behaviors or situations will come from this very calm and neutral space that we are not overreacting, and they will feel safe with you because they feel that you are the adult. Because sometimes the child can feel whether this person is safe or not. Like many times in my work as an educator, the kids come in, they can feel whether this teacher can manage the room. Whichever technique that they use, some is a very calm teacher, some is very stern teacher, some is very fun teacher, whichever technique that they use, the child will be able to sense, they're able to read the room, whether this adult is safe. This adult can handle my emotions. This adult can handle whatever things that I experience, but I cannot handle myself. Will they be able to be emotionally mature about it? Will I have a safe space for myself? So before any technique, right, we can look after ourselves emotionally, find a stable space, because kids, they are actually responding to us. They're actually reading us, and they were trying to find a appropriate response that they can do, depending on us, how we present to them as well. Yeah, so that's what I feel, that as parents, educators, caregivers, this is what we can do to improve the situation.
Yes, this is also what they have to start first. I agree with that, because if let's say you are not emotionally stable and you also try to interact with the child who is also not emotionally stable because they're anxious and depressed, and things could really escalate, like what you have mentioned. But also at the same time, if let's say you sense something is wrong, then it's actually better to seek support rather than just leave with it and label them. It's just the teenagers, they are rebellious, and so on, and just think that everything will be okay someday.
Somehow hope that it will be okay. So I suppose if any parent feels that somehow you cannot handle it and things are getting out of hand, and or maybe you just feel like something is not right, seek professional help, because there are people who are trained, they know what are the actions or interventions, or what are the possibilities that we can do. Because sometimes we are used to the way that we know how to handle situation, but maybe somebody else have a different or better way of coping that we can try.
Yes, because I also want to actually emphasize there could be like a few spectrum of parents. The one that is like, okay, it's just the teenage phase, it will pass eventually, things will get better, but somehow things will not get better. And you see that there are a lot of cases of commit suicide among youth and teens.
Yeah.
So you won't want to wait until it's too late because you think that everything will turn right, but it didn't. So you want to step in, and perhaps maybe step in earlier before the child really been diagnosed with like even the clinical generals anxiety, or even depressions. If you can step in, that's even better because you are preventing. But if let's say they're really diagnosed, it's not a permanent state. It's not a permanent, and you are one of the stories that is not a permanent. You can walk away from depressions and you can live a fulfilling life as well. So it's just getting the right help so that you can intervene and change that. And that's fine. And also, you also don't want the parents to be overly anxious and just want to jump in. Okay, let's do this. And because they are not emotionally stable, they somehow create the tension, and perhaps have the sense of like you have to get things fixed in a very fixated way, which may even pressurize not just the child, also the parents. All right, which is not going to be good at the family dynamics.
Yes. And I hear you that people have all there's parents and kids, right? with all different kind of situations. And like you said, Singapore has a high suicide rate for kids and teenagers. And definitely, if you feel that something is really wrong, please look for a professional help. Because I do have a friend. She's a older mom. Her kid is already like in her 20s or 30s. So what happened was the daughter, she went overseas to study, and I think she met some traumatic incident in overseas. So she had to stop school and she came back to Singapore. And the thing is, she has been back in Singapore like for years, 5 to 10 years. And since then, was not able to get back on her feet. So basically, she didn't find a full-time job after that, and basically spends most of her time at home in the room. So the mom initially thought, okay, let's give my daughter some space. She just needs some time to recover. But what happened is like a few months turned into a year, turned into years, and now basically because it's so long that she doesn't when we don't use a muscle, it just degenerate, right? She doesn't stretch herself in doing new things or step out of comfort zone because it's safe, right? She's scared that to trigger whatever happened. And then what happened now is because it's so long, it's very, very, very difficult for her to go for interview or like have a long-term kind of employment, or to really be serious about her healing process. Like she'll go to counselor 1 time, 2 time, and then drop out kind of thing. So when you said that, when things are not well, things are not right, let's look for help, professional help, sooner better than later. This friend came into mind because I can imagine it's really difficult to be in that kind of space and functioning level for a long time, to really step out again, to do things that other people might consider like normal, like build a career, build a family. So I hear you, what you say about seeking help earlier rather than later.
Yes. I think that space is needed, like what you mentioned, but also like strike a balance between the space and also time to seek help, because I think this is very, very important, because sometimes I think yes, we need to give space to the children because they need time. And even we adults, when we have some emotional turmoil within us, we also need time to process and really start to really put into actions. So you need to have that space, but you also don't want to have like the space becomes like too long.
Yeah.
Too long that is actually, I wouldn't say it's too late. What I believe is, as long as you don't give up on your child and know that your child, no matter how many times you take, is fine, then it means that there's hope.
Yep.
And I think that the message is really giving your child the hope that no, even though there's no one believes in you, you still have one, which is me, your parents, to believe in you, that one day you will still able to walk out from the room. And let's do this. And when they see there's hope and you try to guide them from the space of believing in them, really trying to help them, then I think it's easier for the child to move and be receptive to the therapy or be receptive to the professional help.
Yes.
Yes. So, okay. So as I'm also a clinical hypnotherapist, and I actually specialize dealing with children, especially on anxiety. So I've actually given you some hypnotherapy sessions as well. So we have actually tried hypnotherapy. So I just want to actually debunk what is hypnotherapy, because a lot of people, could be something new, and some may have some myth and misconception about hypnotherapy. So I just want you to share about your experience. So what was the experience of hypnotherapy like for you personally?
For me, the whole experience is very, very relaxing. It was like I'm being guided with like some visualization and like some steps to do. I'm just sitting down, comfortable position, my eyes are closed, and I'll listen to I'll listen to Jessie's voice, and then I'll follow the steps, and then when we are done, and then I feel more relaxed. So the whole time is like I'm just listening to the voice. I'll feel like very, very, or almost like sleepy. Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned something which is interesting. So you're sleepy. Because a lot of people, they may have the perceptions that hypnotherapy is mind control. Or was it something that you expect? And what do you notice during or even after the sessions?
So I think like you did ask some questions like what do I see? Or like where am I? So like in a sense that what I feel, what I experience is completely mine, my idea. And then you are just working with this, what comes from me, and how to, in a way, feel better. Yeah. So I feel that like because it's something that you asked me to visualize where are you now? Somewhere that you are very comfortable. I think something like that.
Yep.
So it was 100% me because I love to do this like floating therapy thing, like floating in the water. So I went there because I'm just floating in the water because I really love it. I was like, okay, actually I really love this so much that it, came up when I'm very relaxed. Yeah.
Okay, so for everybody else, so for your information, hypnotherapy, this is where we actually work with your unconscious mind. This is where we actually work with our unconscious mind, and only unconscious mind knows what you want or what you need. And if I want to recall experience, that only the experience, because although I'm the hypnotherapist, I do not know what you have actually experienced. So like what you have mentioned, I have no idea what you have experienced. I have no idea what you like to do relaxation. So a lot of times I guide you to that place, and which could be like a more like a very generalized, like, okay, go to a safe place where you feel very comfortable and something that you like to do if time is not a problem. And your unconscious mind will hand to you into you when you can actually see in your mind that this is what I like. And that's why I will have no idea what is happening inside your unconscious mind. And a lot of times I also have to interact with you and I ask you, what do you see? And what were you doing? So you were, in short, you were in control because what are the things come to your mind? It was not something that I ask you which is very odd, go to somewhere that you never experienced, or I ask you to do something that you have not experienced and something that you do not want to do. So you were always in control.
Yeah.
Okay. So of course, because you don't have much deep therapy you need to do with me, even if it wasn't a deep therapy, was the relaxation helpful in any way?
Yeah, I felt more relaxed, more like less triggered by what's going on in my life. Yeah, can come from a space of calm. So it was good. It was good.
Yes. Okay, that's great. Because when I think that come back to the children, when they are on the anxious and depressed mode, right? Actually, the unconscious mind is very haywired. And the critical thinking is always up. And they may be also very self-criticize, criticize themselves as well. And when they are in a mood where there's no calm relaxation, that's where the hypnotherapy is very helpful for them to calm them and relax them. Relax not just the physical body, but the unconscious, so that the unconscious can sync up and really calm down. And that's where, after that, you can actually be less triggered and able to work on yourself, the next steps, how to move forward. Okay, so for someone who is skeptical about hypnotherapy, what would you say to reassure them?
I would say just give it a try. Because at the end of session, you will feel better. And then if you like it, you can continue. If you don't like it, then you don't continue. The whole process, right, is actually 100% in your control.
Okay, So now back to like your childhood and then going through the depressions and actually come out. Now you have come out from the depressions, you walk up from there. So if I want to ask you, what was the one belief you hold now that you didn't have back then?
I can do anything that I want. I can do anything that I put my mind to. It's just a matter of time and effort. Life is really very fun. So once it's just a matter of moving forward and finding what is fun for us, what is exciting for us.
Okay, that's a great belief, which I think that if I look back, your 13 and now is something that's the belief that you didn't have back then. And if you have back then in your 13 years old, I think your life will be completely different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, how is your life different today because you finally got the support?
I think a little bit about same like my belief. Life is so amazing and so wonderful. And you can create and live 100% the life that you want to live. Like literally, whatever that you dream of is 100% possible.
Yes. It's also about like your life right now. Maybe you can share about like how's your life look like and how do you feel like so that we can get a picture. Okay, so 13, we see when you are 13, between 13 to 19, when you got clinical depressed, what I get to see as you shared is like you were sad most of the time and you were just unhappy, and although there's nothing to be unhappy about, and you get to like label as rebellious, doesn't want to listen to your parents, talking back, and there's nothing to look forward to at one point that when you were so depressed, you find that there's nothing to look forward and everything seems to be so hard, even getting out of the room, which the things that we do normally is like becomes like so hard for you until you got the support from Andrea. So with that, how is your life right now so that we can see how will be life be different if once you woke up from the depressions?
So I feel that like every stage of my life actually build up to the next stage. So like it's like, wow, once I know that I can, in a way, so last time I was like in my room, right? I so hard to come out of the room even. So once I overcome that little that hurdle there, it's like it's a breakthrough, right? Last time I cannot come out of the rooms for 5 minutes, takes so much energy. Then after that I can go out of the house. So it's a breakthrough. Then after that I can go for job interview. That's a breakthrough. And then after that I can hold on to a job for however long it was. And then after that I can have achievements in my career. After that I can further my studies in different areas. So every breakthrough, right, is like it's like a confidence boost for me. It's add to your self-belief because literally last time there was nothing. It was nothing. I'm just in my room, nothing. So like every stage is like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. Then I want to try for the next one. Okay, then like if something made me not happy today, okay, tomorrow maybe how can tomorrow I want tomorrow to be a happy day. Let's do something that I can feel different. Maybe not 100% happy, but maybe 10% happier is also happier, right? So like all these little things really stack up over time to help me create this belief in myself that I can really do whatever that I want or create whatever I want. Yes, it takes time and effort, but I can do whatever I want in my life, create whatever I want in my life. So 3 years ago, I set up my own music school, my piano studio. And then 3 years later, fast forward 3 years later now, we have I have a team of 3 teachers with us. And really is an extension of whatever that I was doing before. Because whatever curriculum, whatever program, whatever teacher support that I built, right, is basically just one step better. And then now that it's better, hey, I can do even more. It's more fun. I can do one step better. And then that's how we actually build and grow until today, that actually whatever that I'm doing today is exactly what I myself want to do with my life. They're not like my parents, not like friends say I should do this, not what society, but it's like, okay, it's very intentional that this is what I want to do, because it started from what do I want to do? From nothing. I want to go out of my room for 5 minutes. Okay. So every step of the way is like, okay, what do I want to do? What will make me more excited? Or what will make me feel better? Or what will make me feel happier? What will give me more meaning? And then so like it's just built one step at a time until like, wow, actually, now life is good.
Yes, yes, you paint a very beautiful picture, and I can see like the transformation. And honestly, I think I've known you for at least like 4 years.
Yep.
4 years when you just got started with your piano studio, a small one, which is you being the only teacher. And as we continue to be in touch, I see that your transformation as well, which is a very beautiful stories. And you really deserve all the things that, because you are very clear about yourself and what you want in life. And to parents who are actually listening to this, like it is also about giving the space and giving the room for the children to grow one at a time, because the message I get from you is also one at a time, rather than ask them the transformation happens in overnight and tomorrow will be a different person, which is not going to happen. No matter which therapy you go, no therapy, and every therapy also needs time for you to move, but they also got you the step by step, at least. Okay, so one step, and then the next week another step. And if let's say your child needs more time, then just be it, take more time, as long as they are movement, like the growth, no matter how long they take. So I think this is the key message I get from your stories.
Yes, just that one little movement. Like they say one word to you, it's an improvement. And then over time, the improvement will compound, will become like, wow, it's totally different.
Yes, yes, yes. Totally agree with you. Okay. So, and if you could tell your 13-year-old self one thing, what would you say?
Oh, you can do this. What I tell my 13-year-old self is believe in yourself, trust your own intuition. Because sometimes a lot of people, especially adults, they think that they know better or they know you better. So like if you feel that something is wrong and then you want to do something, you want to find a solution, maybe the adults don't even know that there's a solution. So I can help myself. And whatever that I'm feeling or thinking, it is valid. Just because it don't make sense to somebody else doesn't mean that it does not exist. Doesn't mean that it's not valid. And does not mean that we dismiss it or like don't work on it. Don't take action based on it. Yeah.
That's a very powerful one. So, which I think also want to ask another additional questions. Not sure if there will be teenagers listening to this interview, but if there is, what would you tell a teenager who is struggling with their emotions? Perhaps maybe they are also anxious, or maybe they're also feeling depressed. What would you tell them so that they can also move on, or maybe seek for the help? Whatever things that you felt that they need to hear right now.
Whatever situation or whatever feeling that we are experiencing, right? It is temporary. It can get better. And it will get better when something change. It can be a small change. So even though we cannot solve the whole puzzle today, even though I want to feel 100% happy today, but to go from 0 to 100% is very difficult in one time. It's probably not possible, right? But 0% to 1% is possible. 1% to 2% is possible. And look forward to that 1%. That 1% is very, very precious. So don't dismiss that 1% like, yeah, 1% better, but I'm still feel so shit. No, that 1% better, right, can change whatever comes after that. And whatever that you're feeling and experiencing is totally valid. And whatever that solutions that you're thinking of, give it a try. Who knows, it might work.
Gail, thank you for your courage, honesty, and heart. Your story will stay with so many parents long after these videos end. So if you are a parent watching this and something in your gut says, this sounds like my child, don't ignore the noise. I created a free calm kit for parents like you with tools to reconnect and create emotional safety at home. So you can actually download it right now at unmotivatedtoawesome.com/calmkit. And if you want to talk privately about what's happening in your family, I offer a free calm strategy sessions. And you can actually book it at www.calendly.com/Jessie Liew/apply. Remember, you are not alone and your child isn't broken. There are still time to help them feel safe, seen, and whole again. Gail, thank you again for sharing your story. And your story is so vulnerable today. And what you went through and how you come out the other side is exactly why I'm doing this work. Before we wrap, I want to play you something. It's a song that was inspired by the kids we were and the kids we are trying to reach. So I hope it reflects some of what you have actually shared and what so many kids wish their parents knew. So let's listen together.
You're not broken, just overwhelmed. I see you, I remember who you are. The vibe should be cinematic, island warm, blending so much alone. You win the play by tools. Now you scroll through the silence, locked in a room, heart on mute, but I still see you underneath the noise, the child who dreamed, who moved. Ooh, but I remember who you are. Not broken, just buried so far. You were never too much, never too wrong. You just needed space to belong. Remember who you are. You're still that star. Grades and praise became your worth. Good girl, good boy, forgot your birth. But I don't want perfect, I want you loud or soft, fierce or true. Let's shut down the shoulds, forget all the noise. Come back to your voice, you were always more than human. Ooh, I remember who you are. Not broken, just buried so far. You were never too much, never too wrong. You just needed space to belong. Remember who you are. And if you forget again, I'll remind you every time.
Wow, I've actually listened to that song many times, but after listening to your stories and listening with that just now I felt that it hit differently. And what came up for you as you hear the song?
For me, it's like, brings me back. Looking back, it's like that time it was really, really not an easy or fun time. It's just like I was really so sad. And I wish that someone know how I feel. Because like it's like you are so sad, but nobody knows how I feel. And that is so sad. There's so many people in the world, but nobody can understand. Not even one person can know, or maybe want to know, or willing to know how I feel.
Okay. Yes. I do agree. As I listen, like I said, I also feel it hit differently. And if a parent who is watching this felt moved by that song, what would you want them to understand about their child?
The child is doing the best that they can with the resources that they have. Sometimes, right, I don't think any child would expect their parent to be 100% know them. But sometimes it's like the feeling of you know that somebody care enough to want to know, care enough to want to be there, even when the child is so-called acting out or being rebellious or doing things that parents would not maybe they don't like. The fact that even in spite of all this, the parents still there, it will mean a lot to your child. Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree. When you speak about this, I also reminded about my own childhood. I wasn't properly clinically diagnosed because I'm much older. But I do have anxiety disorder during my teenage years. So I remember my mom, she knows something is wrong, but she didn't have the tools. And also that my mom has a lot of emotional burden on her own, a lot of emotional trauma of her own that she also processing on her own, and she may not have the tools to help me. But I remember what makes me continue is I know my mom will be there for me. And even if let's say you are not doing anything, but as a child, that someone is always there for you, you feel much better and you feel hope and you feel have a small courage to move on.
Yeah. Just knowing that someone is there for you, someone believe in you, someone see that there is a better possibility for you, it gives you courage also.
Yes. And thank you, Gail, not just your story, but for your hearts. I truly believe your voice will help other parents see what they've been missing and start healing their child is waiting for. And thank you for watching, and let's raise the awesome generation together.
If you recognize any of these signs in your own teen, you can start helping right now.
Head to the link below to download your free Calm Kit, full of tools to rebuild connection and safety. That link is in the description.